What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing some work in the garage, possibly on the Nova and the Jimmy. We're going to start with the Jimmy first, so let's get to work. Alright guys, I posted in a previous video where I was looking for a steering wheel. If you watched the last video where we were at the junkyard, you'll see that I found one. So I got a nice stock style GMC or stock GMC steering wheel. Actually, I got the steering wheel from the junkyard, and this piece I got from a random person who stuffed it between my mirror and my window at work with a little note saying you might need this. I think it looks pretty good, better than the Cavalier wheel, and the steering wheel only cost me 10 bucks and this was free. So what we're gonna do today is the steering column is loose, if you can see here, which means there's bolts inside that hold it all together, and they've come loose. So we got to take the steering wheel off and take all this apart to get down to where the bolts are. We can tighten the bolts up, put some Loctite on them hopefully, and get it good as new. So first thing we're going to do is pull the steering wheel, and then we got to pull the column apart. First thing we got to do here is take this off, simple as that. Then we got to take this big nut off without honking the horn too much. Of course, I just had this off, so. And then there is a puller for this, and I do have it, but it's easy to just do it this way. Plus, I just had it on, so I put it on, so it should be okay. So you just put the nut on loose, and then just of course, now this one's not going to come off. I got the other one off, and I got it off the truck at the junkyard. There it goes. Now that the steering wheel is off, you got to get this ring here off, and there's a kind of a like locking ring in there. You can probably see it. That has to be popped out. Now the issue there is there's a tool that pushes this down, because behind this there's a really heavy spring, and you actually have to take this off even if you want to fix the canceling spring, so that when you turn and then you turn straight, that clicks off. There's little springs in there, which I'll show you. I don't have that tool, and I made one and I can't find it, so I'm gonna have to make another one. So we'll go out back in the garage and we'll make the tool, and then we can get this off. Basically what we have to do is build like a C shape. So I'm gonna take this piece of steel right here, cut it, and then this will be the hole in the middle that'll go through where that nut was on. And then we have to bend it 1.5 inches here, 1.5 inches here, and then that should be our tool. So I'll start with cutting it, and then we'll bend it, and probably have to drill this hole bigger, and then we'll test it out. Like that, but I don't know, this hole, I might have to put it more in the middle. Alright, so I got the hole drilled, which was a nightmare because apparently all my drill bits suck. So that's one thing, but okay, so now I just got to put it in the vise, bend it, the hammer. Hopefully this is going to be strong enough. I see where this hole is, it's kind of weak there. I might end up having to weld a reinforcement piece on top maybe. And so basically that's what you need. So we'll go over to the truck and see if it's going to work. Okay, so pretty much you slip this over, and it's too long. Okay, so you can see how it slips over, and now it has to push down, but the only problem is it has to get onto the threads. I have to be able to put the nut on. So I'll have to take it and cut off a little bit. Alright, so now you can see I have the tool on and I have it tightened. And now that little ring should be loose enough to pull it off. We just find the opening to it, and then you have to work it off of here. Oop. Oh, the end is actually right here. Okay, well, you get the idea. I can't do this with one hand, but the spring has to get popped off. And the piece comes off, see, like that. And then this comes off. And then you can see these are the, oh, what is this for? That's weird. That shouldn't be in there. Okay, and then here's the little canceling springs inside. That's for when you signal back and forth. I don't know why there's wire in here like this. Just 3 screws plus the hazard screw on the side. This kind of pulls out of the way. Next thing is the ignition switch, and you have to put the key in, turn it on, and then there's a little thing in here you just kind of push in right there, and then the ignition switch pulls out. So that's out. Of course, I unhooked the battery. Next, we got to take these 3 big screws out. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's 2. I still haven't figured out what this wire's for here. I mean, usually if it was for the wipers or something, but cruise control, maybe this might have had cruise control factory on this column, which might not be from this truck. I'm not sure. Okay. And then, okay, this might get tricky here because this has to come off. Oh, this has to come off first. I have to unscrew it. There's a little notch there. I had to take this lower bracket off here so that I could pull the wiring harness here out so that I could pull this out. So now that's out of the way. See this little bolt here, and it's kind of a reverse. It has threads on the inside. There's one on each side, and it's kind of like a pin, and you're supposed to put like a slide hammer on it and pull those out. So I don't know, I'm gonna see if I can get in there to tighten the bolts without that. If not, that has to come off next. Rather than take all that off, in there is a screw, you can see it, and then through that hole right there is another one. It's one of these kind of reverse Torx looking ones. So as long as you can get in here and you can tighten these 2, that'll solve your problem. See, this is like falling out. So what I'm gonna do there is I'm gonna take that back out. I'm gonna add some Loctite and then put it back in, and I'll probably do the same with this one too. And then that should, like, you can see already it's nice and tight. So way easier than pulling all this off. I got the 3 screws back in that hold the whole assembly, now the lock cylinder. You can see this is the little kind of button you have to press down. So then that goes in next, like that. Once it's in, it's in. Some of them actually have a little screw here that holds it, but not this one. And then the next thing to go back in will be this wiring plug, which is like that. Push that in there. Put the screws back in. Our canceling springs are good, so we don't have to change those. So I'll put these 3 screws, and I'll put the screw back in here. Now I screwed that wiring back in, put this thing back on, and now this is back on with that ring. So now we got to put the custom-made tool on, which I'm going to have to like push down and get the nut started, which obviously I can't do with one hand. So now we just have to tighten her down, and now you should see that there's a groove down there. I mean, maybe I can put it back on with one hand here. Goes in its little groove. And that's it. It's back together. And you just hope you didn't miss any parts that you're going to have to put back in and take it all apart again. And then this thing goes on here, and then the steering wheel can go back on. Just like that, it's all back together. You can see it's nice and tight now. No more loose steering column and a fancy GM steering wheel. Alright guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to jack the Nova up and we're going to change the upper ball joints, because the old upper ball joints, while they're still good, the rubber boots are ripped. So I decided to order some new ones. We're going to throw those in now. I got the door closed because it's freaking hot outside. I got 2 fans going here. Whew. It's a hot one today, so trying to keep it a little cool in here. So let's get this thing jacked up. Actually, might as well get the jack position under the control arm. I need that. These should be pretty easy to change because they've been changed before, so they're actually already bolted on. So pretty much all you have to do is remove the cotter pin from there, pop it loose, 4 bolts, ball joint out, new ball joint in. Like I said, those ball joints are probably nothing wrong with them, but in order to get the new rubber boots, I had to buy new ball joints. So they were super cheap. They're AC Delco. I got them from Summit. I might as well change them, right? Cotter pin, now the bolt, nut I should say. It has Wilwood brakes on the front, they're the vented rotors, Calvert 9010 shocks in the front. There's the wastegate dump and part of the intercooler piping. Suspension limiters, braided line for the hoses. Okay, so now we're just going to get maybe we'll get the ball joint fork out, which is probably what screwed up the rubber things in the first place. There we go. Like I said before, I got the jack under the control arm to hold it up. And then now we'll just take these 4 bolts off and we're there. Now as you can see, here's my issue, is that the rubber's all torn up and the grease is coming out. Otherwise, there's not really anything wrong, I don't think. We'll find out when we take it out. Ball joint still feels good. I'm gonna save these, I won't throw them away. They'll be good as spares. But like I said, you can't buy just the boots. Well, I believe you can actually, because I think I put on the GTO like polyurethane ones, but they're probably as much as I paid for the ball joint, so might as well just put new ball joints while we're at it and be done with it. And I'm pretty sure that on the GTO, I used the original boots on something else for this same reason. Otherwise, if I could have found some boots, I would have just swapped the boots out. But see how easily the control arm goes up and down? That's because the bolts on the end are a little on the loose side. They're not like torqued right up. And the reason for that is to get the front end to lift faster, is to have them a little loose. Okay, so, and actually this new ball joint's different. Where that one had that separate kind of cup there, this one has, it's all in one. So you just drop it in like that. The bolts that came with it are like little tiny bolts. In other words, they're not the right bolts. Maybe that's why they were so cheap. I mean, they work, they go through there, they just seem awfully small to me. I mean, there's washers, so maybe, I don't know. I think I'm going to take these to the drill press and just quickly open them. They only need a little bit to use these bigger bolts, and I feel safer. Took just tiniest bit off. Yeah, these bolts are way bigger than the ones it comes with. That's weird. You know, I try not to complain when it's hot out, because living where we live, you know, it gets pretty cold. But it is hot. That's that. I actually bought these ball joints like last year and just haven't had a chance to put them in. So I want to, and in the next video you will see, and at least the next video I make by myself, you will see the S10 coming in the garage to get those Summit slash LS7 lifters and trays installed. I just needed to get some stuff done beforehand. And this is why the GPO will probably never get finished because I'm always so busy. As you can see, I have the door open now because the temperature outside dropped by like 10 degrees, it feels like, because it's gonna rain. So, I'm gonna grease this up. Not too much because we don't want the boot to explode like I did before. That's her. That's ball joint. Sweet. And now you've seen a little more of the Nova than you might not have seen before, as far as what kind of brakes it has and things. And these are Bogart wheels, which are super light. Alright guys, so it's all back together. Both ball joints are in. Everything feels good. Everything looks good. I don't know, I got a little bit of play in that wheel bearing that I don't know if it's the wheel bearings maybe. So I got to look into which kind of wheel bearings I need, and maybe I'll order some and swap them out just to be on the safe side. But other than that, it feels pretty good. I think that's going to be it for this one. Just a little bit of a maintenance day, getting some things fixed up that needed to get fixed. And like I said before, in the next video that I do, we'll be working on the S10, pulling those cylinder heads off. We got the over in a pile there, the lifters and the trays and head gaskets and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that video. And like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll check you later.